Alright, I'm gonna keep this short. I recorded one of these yesterday, a video. It was like 20 minutes long. And then this morning, somebody leaves a comment and says that the audio cuts out at like 3 minutes in. And it does. I don't know how to fix it, so I just deleted that one. I'm gonna make another one. Keeping it short this time because there's really only one point to this I need to make. So, last week, I went to my younger brother's graduation. He graduated from a community college. He got a mechanic certification, you know, and it wasn't that interesting, but it was. People go up there, they give speeches, they got to do that. Teachers are up there. One guy, he gives the obligatory, "You're the future now. You're living in the real world now. It's your destiny to do this thing. You are the chosen one." That kind of thing. Or you get the other people up there, we're talking about this school like it's the greatest fucking place on the planet. Like, when you die and you cross the Rainbow Bridge to Valhalla, you get to this school, all right? When you go to the pearly gates and it opens up to send you into paradise, this school is in there. That's how great they were talking it up. Like this school apparently is where Jesus learned how to commune with God, all right? Buddha learned how to achieve enlightenment at this school, all right? Odin himself is a professor there, all right? I mean, I'm sure it's a good school, like, actually, but the main premise of that video that I ended up deleting because the audio cut out, and I guess the main part of this whole graduation was this one woman, and I shit you not, she gave the longest speech. Half the time here was taken up by this one fucking woman. And I'm sure she's a nice woman and all, but my God, she gets up there and she starts talking about like her family before her. Like, she's not even in the picture at the beginning of her speech. She starts out, she's like, "The year was 1865. That was when my great 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 grandpappy got discharged from the Union Army." And like her whole story begins like she's talking about her parents before she was born, and they come into the state, and then finally after they've done all their stuff and she's gone through their whole biography, finally, like, the stars aligned, the planets all came together in a line, all right? The gods came down from above and witnessed the birth of this woman, all right? And then she starts talking about her childhood. And normally it's not like an uplifting thing, all right? Like, she's not Aladdin the street rat here, all right? She's not living in squalor. She's not going off to work the coal mines at 4 years old, all right? She's going in depth, like, "I went to preschool that one time and I transferred halfway through preschool and ended up in another preschool across town." And it's just basic stuff like that. But it keeps going on. She's getting in depth on this stuff. Like, we came here to witness this woman. The students over there sitting there in this place, sitting in the gym here, they're secondary. No, no, this is about the woman. She's the real show here. She's the real bread and butter of this event. All right. And then she keeps going from there. She's talking about like her high school. She went to this school. She did this. She had these friends. She was part of this popular group. All right. You know, the usual stuff. And then she gets into the real world and she starts talking about the job she had leading up to the college. And finally, and this is after her whole childhood backstory, her parents' backstory. I'm sure if it had been legal to do so, she would have kept going about it, like her grandparents. If it had been legal to keep all the people imprisoned there, all right. And the whole time I'm sitting at the top of the bleachers, because you get a backrest if you're sitting up against a wall. So I'm at the top of the bleachers. My buns of steel have cold welded to the seats, all right, by this point. All right. The edge, I'm sitting right near the edge too. So I'm half tempted to just like over the edge, make it quick, nothing fancy. But I don't, because this woman finally gets to the part where she gets to college at this place. And so I'm like, well, slow process. I'm sure this is leading up to a point. And that was when I went to college the first time. Yeah. Yeah, so it didn't end there. She took like 2 classes for a job she had, and then she went back. And then she went on this whole thing about how back in my day, women couldn't get into positions of management. And I'm like, yeah, we all kind of knew that. It's accepted history at this point. We all know that. And she goes on that, and she's talking about a job, and she left this job, and she went there. And then she gets to the part where she gets back to college, and I'm like, all right, we're getting somewhere. We're on topic again. All right, we went off over there. We talked about how she went and fucking off to Narnia. All right, I don't know, but we're getting back on topic. All right, we're getting back to the school. And that's when I went to college the second time. But I didn't stay there for too long because I went to pursue another career. Yeah, so she keeps going, and it's like at this point, you get to a certain point where it's like she goes to college, she takes some classes, she leaves college, she does some shit, she comes back to college, she takes some classes, she gets a job, she does some shit, and she wants you to know, alright, this person, you're gonna know exactly what she was doing at these jobs. You're gonna know exactly what she was doing this whole time, alright? Like, okay, listen, at some point, I expect her to just get so in detail. She's going through every single day, like, and on that Monday in May of 1984, I was going to make toast for breakfast. But alas, we had run out of strawberry jam. So I went to the store, but the strawberry jam at that store was 2 cents more expensive than it had been yesterday. So I went on down to the other store down yonder. But alas, they were out of strawberry jam. 'Twas quite the pickle. And then I remembered that I needed to purchase pickles for a sandwich I was going to make for that afternoon. And it just keeps, it's like that. She gets so in detail. Like, the students in the seats, they're fidgeting around, okay? They're sick of this bullshit, alright? And the woman seems like a nice person, but my god, like, are you fucking graduating here? Like, are you getting an award here? Is this your doctorate? Is this your thesis? All right. Is the History Channel back there? Are they filming this? Are they making a documentary about you? Like, the students are just sitting there the whole time, completely just dead-eyed waiting for this woman. They just want to get their degree. They want to get out of here. All right. They've been there long enough. So, and then she keeps going. She's like, the rest of the world just tuned out. She's just straight focused. You're gonna hear the rest of this story whether you like it or not. You try to leave? Nah. They're closing the doors. They're chaining those things off. You're staying there. You're listening to this woman's story. All right. So finally, after all of this, she gets to the point where she becomes a teacher at this school. All right. And this is after like fucking all the backstory. All right. This is like, if you ever read a Norse epic, you get to a point and they introduce a character and then they go off explaining this like 1,000 years of this character's lineage back in time. All right. It's like that. So after this woman explains her entire family lineage and her entire like fucking cultural background and all the deep lore, all right, finally she gets to the point where she's talking about how she became a professor there. Except, and so it was on that day that I became a professor at this school, but that's not where my story ends yet. Well, it's where mine ends, folks. I had a good run, alright? I'll see you on the other side. I'm going off again. Tempting. But I didn't, alright? I'm alive out of spite, all right? I got some people that I gotta outlive, all right? Peacefully. I'm not crazy, okay? I might look crazy peacefully. Old age, all right? I gotta live to like 130, all right? Not the point. Anyway, so this woman who may as well have been 130 at this point because she's lived through fucking everything by now. And so she keeps going, all right? And so it was on that day that I became a professor at this school. But I continued to do things elsewhere outside of this school. And it was on that day that I went for a walk down the street and I noticed a billboard advertising a job, but I decided not to go to that job, so I continued walking for the rest of that day. Then I went home and I made myself soup for dinner. And then I went to bed and I couldn't fall asleep for about an hour. And then I did fall asleep and I had a dream. And I don't remember what that dream was about. But the next day I woke up and I folded my sheets and I went into the living room and I got dressed and I took a shower and I came out and I made breakfast. I had a bagel. Thankfully, thankfully, we had this strawberry jam that day. I like, and every time you think it's gonna end, like, you know the Avatar movie, not the last Airbender series, but the one with the blue people. You're watching this movie and you're like 2 hours in and you're like, all right, there's the plot point. Movie's almost over, all right? And then you look down and there's still like an hour and a half left. It's like that. So every time this woman would start wrapping up the speech, and then she'd be like, but that was only the beginning. And I'm like, and it was only the fucking beginning because she would always keep going. Like this one, they had in the news a couple of days ago or a couple of weeks ago, however long it was, a guy set in Congress, a congressman set the new world record for the longest unbroken speech. It was like 25 straight hours of talking. Peasant shit, all right? By the time this woman starts to get to the actual end of her speech, all right, rivers have redirected themselves around land masses, all right? The continents have shifted. Mountains have eroded away into valleys. The stars have moved, all right? Life forms have come to life and gone extinct by the time this woman is finally fucking finished, all right? I've lived, I've lived my life, I've died, I've been reborn hundreds of times in that very bleacher, sitting right in that seat. I've lived tons of lifetimes just sitting right there listening to this woman's speech, all right? Again, this is a graduation, all right? It's not like she's making a YouTube video or anything like that, where you watch it and you expect to hear somebody talk about some dumb shit for 13 minutes, I think that says, however long this is. So there's students there, and this woman, like, the students aren't there yet, all right? They haven't spawned in, according to this woman. She's just like up there, she's giving the speech. I don't know if there's even a time limit. There should have been. I don't know if this woman came in. I don't even remember what this woman did there. Like, she's a professor or something, or maybe she just walked in one day. The graduation starts, this woman just comes up to the place, shoves some people aside, kicks open the door. She's like, what is this? Graduation? Students graduating? Mechanics or some shit? I don't know. Fucking give me a cap and gown, all right? I'm going up there. I'll show y'all how it's done, all right? This is how you give a speech, all right? And finally, all right? Finally, after so many ages, all right, after longer than the universe has been around, all right, I've been sitting there so long that I became part of the architecture by this point, all right? But finally, this woman ends her speech, and it's like euphoria, all right? A new age has begun, all right? It's like before Christ and after Christ, but before this woman's speech and after the end of this woman's speech. And all the time in between the speech itself, that's like the void. All right, we don't talk about that. So, finally, she ends the speech, all right? And you want to know what the whole thing was about, what the main premise was here, the main point of this entire saga that this woman just spewed out across the gym here. It was that she went to this school and she liked it. Yeah. Yeah. That's, I mean, why didn't you just fucking say that? Jesus Christ. Like, it could have gone on for 5 minutes. I mean, I'm losing it now. All right, this was like a week ago. I'm still fucking mad. Like, you could have summed up this whole thing in like 5 minutes. I mean, goddamn. I mean, like, and that was the whole point. It's not like she was making some grand thing. It's not like she's saying, well, I died in the Great War, and this school, they came overseas, they resurrected me. They brought me back here, they put me up on stage. Thanks to this school, I got elected president. Thanks to this school, I died for all your sins. All right. Thanks to this school, all right. At this school, I sacrificed myself and gave you all the sacred runes. All right. The whole point of this whole speech, of her entire biography here, was that she went to this school and she liked this school. And that was it. That was the whole thing. All right. And I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm glad we had to listen to fucking Abraham Simpson's backstory over there. You know, that's fucking 3 years of my life I'm not getting back sitting in those bleachers, all right? And by the time she finally goes to sit down, I swear to you, I swear there's like a moment of silence in the crowd. Everyone's like confused as to what they think they're supposed to do now. They're like, it's over? It's over? I I don't know what we're supposed to do now. Like, or is this graduation? I don't. Do we have other speakers? I don't even remember who's graduating here. Was this the class of 1922? I don't know. I guess we're just going on with the graduation. Shit, let's just start calling people up here. Where's the names at? Like, by the time it's ended, all right, the rest of the graduation, like, this woman's speech was, no joke, like half the time, all right? And it's about her, like, the whole thing. It's like her entire backstory, the lore. I knew this woman personally by the end of that shit. When the actual graduation ended, you know, all the students have gone up there, they got their degrees, except they didn't though. They get a thank you note and then they send the degree in the mail because I don't fucking know. But they go up there, they get their thing, they get a congratulatory slap on the ass, they get sent back to the seat, alright. By the time that's all over, I half expected this woman to just go right back up there and she's just like, welcome back, fellas. And now for part 2 of my 200-part saga. The year was 1953, and on that day I woke up and decided I was going to have a bagel for breakfast. I swear to, I don't even know. I don't, like, for if anyone out there is watching this and you're planning any kind of event, a time limit, all right? A speech time limit, okay? It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It's not like a presidential debate here. You don't have to have it exactly 5 minutes per person, all right? You can just, like, you're not allowed to exceed like 4 hours, all right? Just like literally anything, all right? So you're not driving the people crazy, all right? It's like 95 degrees out. We're sitting in a gym, all right? I don't want to listen to fucking. I don't want to listen to this woman read out the whole Bible up there, all right? Like, I didn't actually say any of this stuff there. I was just kind of sitting there completely, like, dead eyed, just, a soulless husk of a person as this is going on. I'm not actually trying to. I'm not one of those people who will get up and just be like making a scene like you see on YouTube. But my God, this fucking I swear I'll go to another graduation one day, somebody else's graduation. All right, I'm not going to a graduation because if I go to my graduation, I'm gonna sit down. It's not even gonna be at the same school. I'll sit down at some other school. That woman's going to go up there and she's going to give another speech. The exact same one. All right? Like, I if anyone gets married that I know, I go to a wedding, I sit down, the two, the bride and the groom are up there. This woman's going to appear right between them, start reading off her life story. 2028, next presidential election. Whoever gets elected, they're going up there to get their speech at the end of the election. It's this woman. She goes up there the whole 4-year term. She's reading off her entire life story up there on the stage, all right? Yeah, yeah, that was the whole premise. Was this 21 minutes long of me complaining about that fucking woman? Yeah, I'm sure she's a nice woman and all, but you really need to time your speeches out a little better. Just saying.